Right now, there is absolutely no hotter and honestly no more confusing topic in the entire world of health, wellness, and medical biohacking than peptides. You've probably heard of the famous GLP-1 agonists that everyone's using for weight loss, but the universe of peptide therapeutics, it is massively broader than just that. We are talking about a world filled with promises of rapid tissue healing, incredible anti-aging benefits, and massive muscle growth. But, and this is a big but, it's also filled with some pretty intense risks. So in this explainer, we're going to cut right through all the hype. Consider this your ultimate decoder ring for understanding exactly what these compounds actually are, what they do, and the hidden biological trade-offs you absolutely need to know about. To do that, we've got a clear map for today. First, what are peptides? Second, rejuvenation and tissue repair. Third, metabolism and muscle growth. Fourth, longevity, vitality, and libido. And finally, number 5, risks, side effects, and sourcing. All right, let's jump right into Section 1. What are peptides?
So before we get into what they do, what exactly is a peptide? At its core, a peptide is really just a small protein. It's made up of a short chain of amino acids, strictly speaking, anywhere from 2 to 50 of them. The absolute best way to visualize this is to picture distinct beads on a string. Every single bead represents a specific amino acid, and it's the precise arrangement, the exact order of those beads along the string that determines what that peptide is and, most importantly, what it does inside your body. Honestly, things like insulin and oxytocin, those are just naturally occurring peptides that you already have.
Now, if there is a golden rule of peptides, it comes down to a single, incredibly important word: pleiotropic. When a peptide enters your system, it acts like a key fitting into a very specific cellular parking spot or receptor. And once it's parked, it kicks off this complex downstream bucket brigade of cellular activity. But here's the crucial point, and you really have to remember this. They rarely, if ever, do just one single thing. One single peptide might activate a pathway for cell growth, while at the exact same time hitting another for cell migration and a third for forming new blood vessels. They are biological multitaskers by nature. Because they are so powerful, we have to talk about how people are actually getting their hands on them. On one side, you have FDA-approved prescription peptides that are entirely pure and monitored by physicians. But there is a massive gray and black market out there, and black market peptides often hide a really dangerous secret: LPS, or lipopolysaccharides. Basically, LPS is a toxic byproduct from the manufacturing process, and it triggers a severe immune response in the body. Over time, accumulating that LPS exposure from, dirty peptides can cause massive cascading systemic health issues. So clean sourcing, it is absolutely paramount. Which brings us to Section 2, rejuvenation and tissue repair. If you want to heal any tissue, whether we're talking about a torn tendon, a crushed nerve, or even a severely damaged gut lining, your body absolutely requires a process called angiogenesis. This is literally the development of a brand new blood supply. You simply cannot rebuild human tissue without new capillaries there to deliver blood and vital growth factors directly to the site of the injury. And that brings us to the two heavy hitters you'll hear about constantly in tissue repair. First up is BPC 157. BPC actually stands for Body Protection Compound, and surprisingly, it's originally derived from human gastric juices. It aggressively targets injuries by building those new blood vessels and migrating fibroblasts to rebuild the tissue. Second is TB 500. This is a synthetic version of thymosin beta-4, which is a natural peptide secreted by the thymus gland in young children. You know how little things can get a deep cut and it heals incredibly fast, almost without scarring? Well, TB500 encourages the extracellular matrix growth that basically attempts to mimic that exact rapid youthful healing process in adults. You go online and anecdotal reports of athletes healing from these massive career-ending injuries using BPC 157 are everywhere. I mean, it sounds like absolute magic, right? But if BPC 157 heals tissue so incredibly well, we have to stop and ask a critical question. What is the catch?
And here is where we find the double-edged sword of rapid cell growth. You see, BPC 157 doesn't just heal tendons. Remember that word, pleiotropic? Well, it locally upregulates growth hormone receptors and massively increases VEGF, which is vascular endothelial growth factor. Why does this matter? Because tumors absolutely thrive on increased blood flow. The exact same angiogenesis mechanism that rapidly heals a torn Achilles tendon will simultaneously vascularize, feed, and accelerate a hidden tumor in your body. Actually, to put that into perspective, major anti-cancer drugs are designed to intentionally suppress the exact same pathways that BPC 157 activates.
Let's shift gears to Section 3, Metabolism and Muscle Growth. As we age, our natural growth hormone production just plummets. To counter this, scientists develop things called secret toggos. Basically, these are peptides that trick your brain into releasing more growth hormone. I've categorized the main ones here. Type 1 peptides like sermorelin and tesamorelin mimic your body's natural growth hormone-releasing hormone. They are quite well understood and often FDA approved for specific clinical uses. But type 2 peptides like ipamorelin and hexarelin, they are very different. They actually mimic ghrelin, your body's hunger hormone, and they remove the biological brakes on growth hormone release. They are much, much stronger, but they're largely experimental. We really need to talk about the extreme side of these compounds. Take hexarelin, for instance. It creates a massive, totally unnatural pulse of growth hormone in the body. But the trade-off? It can permanently desensitize your natural receptor pathways, meaning it can literally turn off your body's innate ability to make its own hormone. That's a huge deal. On the other side of the spectrum, you have CJC-12095, which is incredibly long-lasting, but it's critical to note that it was linked to cardiovascular deaths during its clinical trials. So we're not just talking about innocent daily supplements here. These are extremely powerful biological levers.
The ultimate risk of playing with growth hormone is that it is completely indiscriminate. It doesn't know you just want to grow your biceps. It grows everything. It grows your bones, which can cause unnatural facial thickening. It grows your cartilage, routinely leading to severe carpal tunnel syndrome. It can even enlarge your internal organs, leading to that distended gut look you sometimes see in bodybuilders. And, just like we discussed with the tissue repair peptides, if you happen to have any pre-existing cancer cells, indiscriminately flooding your body with growth signals is going to accelerate those too.
Moving on to Section 4, Longevity, Vitality, and Libido.
Now, in the anti-aging space, a peptide called epitalon is incredibly fascinating. It attempts to mimic the pineal gland's natural secretions to restore youthful circadian rhythms, and it's even theorized to adjust telomere length. Then you have the melanocortin system peptides, like the melanotan family and PT141. These are wild. They essentially trigger an ancient evolutionary winter-to-spring biological response in the body. They cross the blood-brain barrier, causing massive dopamine spikes, a rapid darkening of the skin, and intense increases in libido. But again, pleiotropy, right? Because they hit receptors all over your gut as well. A very common side effect is severe, debilitating nausea.
Let's look at exactly how this cascade builds when we talk about reproductive vitality. This right here is the kisspeptin cascade. Kisspeptin is a peptide naturally produced in the brain. When someone takes synthetic kisspeptin, it kicks off this massive downstream bucket brigade. First, it triggers the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus then tells the pituitary gland to release luteinizing and follicle-stimulating hormones. Those hormones then travel down and force the gonads to produce testosterone and estrogen. It is literally a biological domino effect, and it proves just how interconnected our endocrine system is and exactly how these synthesized peptides hack directly into our most ancient pathways. And that leads us to our final part, Section 5, Risks, Side Effects, and Sourcing.
If you take away just one single thing from this entire explainer, let it be this quote right here. There's simply no way to remove the pleiotropic feature of peptide therapeutics. Because peptides act as skeleton keys in various cellular locks all over your body. They never, ever do just one thing. You simply cannot separate their incredible, borderline miraculous restorative benefits from their very real systemic risks. Healing a torn tendon and feeding a hidden tumor use the exact same biological mechanism. Boosting your libido might completely wreck your gut for a day. It is all connected.
We are truly in the very early stages of a biological revolution. The potential to heal faster, optimize our metabolism, and restore our vitality is sitting right in front of us. But the stakes? They couldn't possibly be higher. So as we continue to decode this new wild west of human optimization, I want to leave you with this. Are we truly prepared to navigate the double-edged sword of our own biology? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.